after year. And this time, she is better than everyone.
No one just does their job. Make sure you explore all parts of you.
It hurts so much, especially after such a tough 2 weeks playing great tennis, and it just literally smashed me out of the court. So very, very well done. Happy to see you playing your best tennis. Nice comeback at the end of the season.
Coco Gauff's brutal ice out. Aryna Sabalenka left sobbing after shocking French Open snub. The real reason will make your jaw drop. Welcome back to Champions Tennisitics, the channel where we serve up the biggest drama and deepest analysis in the tennis world. If you thought Grand Slam finals were all about backhands and baseline rallies, think again, because what went down at the French Open trophy ceremony has set the tennis world absolutely ablaze with controversy, shock, and some seriously savage power moves. You're about to witness one of the most painfully awkward, tension-filled moments ever captured at a Grand Slam presentation. And trust me when I say this wasn't just uncomfortable to watch. It was a calculated psychological warfare that left one player in tears and the other standing tall as the ultimate champion both on and off the court. We're diving deep into the moment Coco Gauff, fresh off her sensational French Open victory, delivered an ice-cold, public dismissal of her defeated opponent Aryna Sabalenka that was so frosty you could practically see the icicles forming in the Parisian air. This isn't your typical post-match handshake drama. This is next-level tension that's got everyone from casual fans to tennis legends picking sides and debating whether Gauff went too far or whether Sabalenka absolutely had it coming. The real kicker? The reason behind this shocking snub is pure dynamite. And when you hear what Sabalenka said in her post-match interview, you'll understand exactly why Gauff decided that respect was officially off the table. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and prepare yourself for the most explosive breakdown of tennis drama you'll see all year, because this story has everything. Triumph, tears, shade so thick you could serve it on a clay court, and a rivalry that just went from professional to deeply, intensely personal. Picture this. Coco Gauff has just achieved what every tennis player dreams of since they first picked up a racket. She's conquered the legendary clay courts of Roland Garros, battling through 2 grueling weeks of the world's best players to emerge victorious at the French Open. The emotion is raw, genuine, and absolutely beautiful. She's so overwhelmed with champion's breakthrough moment, the culmination of years of dedication, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of excellence. But then something shifts dramatically. As the official ceremony begins and protocol dictates that the champion and runner-up should share the stage in a display of mutual respect and sportsmanship, Gauff's demeanor transforms completely. The joy remains, but it's now guarded, calculated, and most tellingly of all, she completely and deliberately ignores Aryna Sabalenka. This wasn't an accidental oversight or a moment of distraction. This was a visible, intentional dismissal that sent shockwaves through everyone watching. Sabalenka, standing there as the runner-up, clearly expected the usual cordial exchange that defines these ceremonies. You know the drill, the gracious congratulations, the mutual respect between warriors who just left everything on the court, maybe even a genuine moment of connection between 2 competitors who pushed each other to their absolute limits. Instead, what she got was the deep freeze, the cold shoulder, the complete and total ice out that left her visibly uncomfortable, awkwardly trying to navigate a situation where she was being publicly snubbed on one of tennis's biggest stages. The answer to this mystery lies in what Sabalenka said immediately after walking off the court following her defeat. And honestly, when you hear these words, you'll completely understand why Gauff decided that playing nice was no longer an option. Because what Sabalenka uttered in her post-match interview wasn't just disappointing. It was utterly, completely, and perhaps inexcusably disrespectful to everything Gauff had just accomplished. The answer to this mystery lies in what Sabalenka said immediately after walking off the court following her defeat. And honestly, when you hear these words, you'll completely understand why Gauff decided that playing nice was no longer an option. Because what Sabalenka uttered in her post-match interview wasn't just disappointing. It was utterly, completely, and perhaps inexcusably disrespectful to everything Gauff had just accomplished. Here's where things get absolutely explosive. Sabalenka, a world-class competitor who knows better than anyone how brutal Grand Slam finals can be, chose what can only be described as a catastrophically poor path in explaining her defeat. She didn't credit Gauff's superior play, her tactical brilliance, her mental toughness, or her exceptional execution under pressure. She didn't acknowledge the countless hours Gauff spent preparing specifically for this match, studying her opponent's weaknesses, and developing a game plan that would exploit every opportunity. No, instead, Sabalenka essentially declared to the entire world that she beat herself and that Gauff's historic victory was nothing more than a fortunate accident. Listen to these exact words and try not to feel your blood pressure rising on Gauff's behalf. Sabalenka lamented to the media, "I couldn't today, and she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes." But she didn't stop there. She continued, doubling down on this narrative with even more devastating commentary. "It's another tough final in the Grand Slam against Coco. Another terrible performance from me against Coco in the final. I cannot go out there every time against her in the finals of the Grand Slam and play such terrible tennis and give those wins. Give those wins." Let those 3 words sink in for just a moment. Think about the implications of what she's suggesting here. Sabalenka is essentially telling the world that Gauff's French Open title, this career-defining, dream-achieving, life-changing moment, was nothing more than a charitable donation, a gift wrapped in a bow, a byproduct of her own terrible performance, rather than a deserved victory earned through Gauff's superior skill, preparation, and execution. This is the ultimate shade you can throw at a champion, the most backhanded non-compliment imaginable. It diminishes everything Gauff worked for, her strategy, her talent, her mental fortitude, reducing her historic achievement to nothing more than being in the right place at the right time while her opponent self-destructed.
Great tennis, and in these terrible conditions, show such terrible tennis in the final. That's really hurt, but it's okay. Anyway, Coco, congrats and this stuff.
The tennis community has seen plenty of sore losers over the years, players who struggle with defeat and say things in the heat of the moment that they might later time to cool down, process what happened, and choose her words carefully before facing the media. She had every opportunity to take the high road, to acknowledge that Gauff simply played better tennis when it mattered most, to show the grace in defeat that separates true champions from mere competitors. Instead, she chose to go on record with comments that will now forever be associated with Gauff's first French Open title, tainting what should have been a purely joyful moment with unnecessary controversy and disrespect. As the tournament winner, Gauff held all the cards. She had the power to dictate the mood and tone of that trophy ceremony, and she used it to deliver an unmistakably clear message without saying a single word. Your disrespect is not welcome here. Your excuses are not acknowledged here. Your attempt to diminish my achievement will not be validated by my participation in false pleasantries. The ice-cold shoulder during the trophy presentation was a masterclass in nonverbal communication, a brilliant tactical move that transformed the moment into an unforgettable nightmare of awkwardness for Sabalenka, while making Gauff look like the ultimate boss who refuses. Sabalenka standing there, clearly uncomfortable, trying to figure out how to navigate a situation where she's being publicly snubbed on international television with millions watching. You can see Gauff, focused and determined, celebrating her achievement without acknowledging the person who just tried to steal her thunder with excuses and hypotheticals. It's psychological warfare at its finest, a power move for the ages that will be studied and discussed for years to come whenever people talk about the complex dynamics between tennis rivals. When Gauff finally did address Sabalenka's comments publicly, she handled it with a perfect combination of class and firmness that asserting without hesitation that her strength, her game, and her superior play won the match. But here's where Gauff revealed herself to be not just a great player, but a brilliant communicator who, by calling her the strongest opponent on tour.
I would like to congratulate Irina. You're a fighter. You're number 1 player in the world, and I know today was a tough match, but you deserve all the results that you've been having, and every time we play.
Now think about the strategic brilliance of this reframing for just a moment. Sabalenka's narrative was built entirely around the idea that she beat herself, that her mistakes handed Gauff an unearned victory. But Gauff's counter-narrative completely demolishes that excuse by elevating Sabalenka's status while simultaneously making her defeat even more impressive. if Sabalenka is indeed even better, even more deserving of the title. Gauff's statement simultaneously gave Sabalenka credit where it was arguably due, while also making it absolutely undeniable that she had overcome the very best version of her rival. If the strongest opponent in women's tennis still lost, if all of Sabalenka's power and skill and experience still wasn't enough, then Gauff was simply superior on the day when it mattered most. That's how you completely shut down disrespectful excuses without losing your dignity, without descending to your opponent's level, and without giving anyone ammunition to criticize your response. It's brilliant, it's classy, and it's devastatingly effective. This entire incident highlights something that every professional athlete learns, but that some never truly master: the art of losing with grace. Defeat in sports is inevitable. Even the greatest champions in history have lost far more matches than they've won over the course of their careers. But how you handle those losses, what you say in those moments of disappointment and frustration, reveals everything about your character and your respect for the sport itself. You can be internally devastated, crushed by the missed opportunity, already replaying every mistake in your mind and wondering what you could have done differently. That's completely natural and human. But publicly, in front of the media and the fans and your peers, you must find a way to acknowledge your opponent's excellence and their earned victory. This is the fundamental requirement of professional sportsmanship, the unwritten code that maintains the integrity and dignity of competition at the highest level. When you diminish your opponent's achievement by focusing solely on your own mistakes, you're not just being a sore loser. You're actively damaging the sport and disrespecting everyone who contributed to that match. You're telling your opponent that their preparation didn't matter, their strategy didn't matter, their execution didn't matter, that they were merely passive beneficiaries of your generosity in making errors. It's insulting on every possible level, and it creates exactly the kind of tension and animosity that we witnessed at the French Open. Sabalenka's choice to frame her defeat this way has created a secondary storyline about poor sportsmanship that now tragically overshadows what should be purely celebratory coverage of Gauff's incredible achievement. Every article, every video, every discussion about the French Open now has to include this controversy, this awkward moment, this public display of disrespect and its consequences. That's not what anyone wants to see after a Grand Slam final. Fans want to celebrate great tennis, to admire both competitors for giving everything they had, to appreciate the sport at its highest level. Instead, we're talking about excuses and snubs and the complete breakdown of professional courtesy between two of the sport's biggest stars. What this incident has accomplished, perhaps unintentionally, is the cementing of what promises to be one of the most intense, personal, and compelling rivalries in modern women's tennis. This isn't just professional competition anymore. This is personal. Gauff now knows beyond any shadow of doubt that Sabalenka doesn't fully respect her game, doesn't view her victories as legitimate, and apparently believes she only wins when Sabalenka graciously hands her the match through errors. And Sabalenka knows that Gauff publicly iced her out because of those comments, that her words had consequences, that disrespect will be met with calculated dismissal rather than polite forgiveness. Their next encounter, whether it's in another Grand Slam final or an early round match at a smaller tournament, will carry the enormous weight of this personal animosity. You can bet that both players will remember this moment, that they'll bring extra intensity and extra desire to prove their point when they meet across the net again. Gauff will want to demonstrate once and for all that her victories are earned through superior play, not gifted through opponent errors. Sabalenka will be desperate to win convincingly to validate her theory that she's the better player who simply had bad days in their previous finals. The tennis will be must-watch television, but the underlying tension will add an electric layer of drama that transcends the sport itself. For fans, this kind of genuine animosity between elite players is simultaneously uncomfortable and absolutely fascinating. We watch sports partly for the athletic excellence, but let's be honest, we also watch for the drama, the personalities, the storylines that turn athletes into characters in an ongoing narrative that plays out over years and decades. This French Open ceremony snub will become part of the permanent folklore of women's tennis, a moment that gets replayed and analyzed and referenced whenever these two players face each other in the future. A line in the sand about what kind of treatment she will and won't accept, even from fellow professionals, even in moments when protocol might suggest she should just smile and play nice for the cameras. The message Gauff sent resonates far beyond this one incident. She's telling the entire tennis world that she's not someone who will passively accept disrespect, that being gracious and professional doesn't mean being a doormat for other players' excuses and ego protection. She's establishing herself not just as a talented player, but as someone with firm boundaries and the confidence to enforce them, even when doing so might create temporary discomfort or controversy. That's the mark of someone who will be a force in tennis, not just for the next few years, but potentially for the next decade or more. As for Sabalenka, this has to be a learning moment, albeit an extremely painful and public one. She's an exceptional player with multiple Grand Slam titles of her own, and she's proven time and time again that she belongs at the highest level of the sport. But this incident will follow her, and she'll need to decide whether she wants to continue down this path of making excuses and hypothetical excuses when she loses, or whether she wants to embrace the kind of gracious professionalism that would earn back the respect she lost with those post-match comments. The choice is entirely hers, but the consequences of that choice will play out in her relationships with other players, with fans, and with the media for the foreseeable future. Ultimately, this drama at the French Open serves as a powerful reminder that tennis is so much more than just a game of athleticism and technique. It's a complex battlefield of wills, psychology, public perception, and personal dynamics that can be just as fascinating as anything that happens during actual match play. The way players handle victory and defeat reveals their true character in ways that their forehands and serves never could. And sometimes, the most memorable moments happen not during the match itself, but in those raw, unscripted moments afterward when emotions are high and guards are down. So what do you think about this entire situation? When an opponent publicly diminishes your hard-earned victory with excuses and disrespect, is the cold shoulder the perfect response? Or should champions always take the high road regardless of provocation? Is there ever a justification for the kind of comments Sabalenka made? Or does losing with grace require acknowledging your opponent's excellence even when you're devastated by defeat? Should Gauff have handled the situation differently? Or was her calculated snub exactly the message that needed to be sent? These aren't easy questions, and reasonable people can disagree about the answers, which is exactly why we want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. This is the kind of genuine, unscripted drama that makes tennis endlessly compelling and worth following obsessively. And if you want more unbelievable drama, brilliant analysis, in-depth breakdowns, and hot takes on the greatest sport in the world, you absolutely need to hit that like button right now. Champions Tennisitics is a new channel, and we're building a passionate community of fans who love the game as much as they love the drama, the strategy, the personalities, and everything that makes tennis special. We're dedicated to bringing you content that goes beyond the surface level, that digs into the psychology and the storylines and the moments that everyone will be talking about. So do us a huge favor and smash that subscribe button right now. Ring that notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the heart of tennis controversy, our next breakdown of tactical brilliance, or our next exclusive look at the drama unfolding at tournaments around the world. We're on a mission to build this channel to 10,000 subscribers and beyond, and we can't do it without your support. Join the Champions Tennisitics family today, and let's grow this community of tennis obsessives together. Trust us, you won't want to miss what we have coming next.